All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo flying solo this week. My partner, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz, had some conflicts this weekend, but we're looking forward to seeing him next weekend. So, unfortunately, you all are just stuck with me for the WrestlePalooza recap. Yes, WrestlePalooza was last night. It was the big flagship launch for ESPN and WWE's partnership. I'll say pretty good show. And I know I tend to be somewhat critical about these things, but I think overall they did really, really well. So let's run through what happened. There wasn't a ton of matches. I believe it was 5 matches total for the PLE. It did go on, felt like 3.5 hours. It was a little bit longer than I would have expected. Just, I think, because they were spending so much time with a lot of the video packages and promo packages. Entrances took a long time. Obviously, I think they were really going for spectacle for WrestlePalooza. So that definitely drew things out quite a bit. First comment I did want to make is they featured the new intro for the Then, Now, Forever, which was cool. Special shout out on the Forever portion. They featured Bray Wyatt, which I thought was a nice touch and a beautiful touch, and it did catch me off guard in the best possible way. So I love that. So kudos to WWE for including Bray Wyatt in the Forever section for Then, Now, Forever. And then we opened up with a video package for the kind of the ESPN partnership with WWE and talking about both the history of WWE and ESPN and kind of how they've paralleled throughout last several decades. So this, of course, was really good stuff just because WWE knows how to produce really great video packages. So this was cool. And then when we opened in the ring, Triple H was there to welcome everybody to the WWE, to ESPN, and to WrestlePalooza. Talking about, hey, if this is your first time with WWE, which I can't imagine it'd be a lot of people's first time tuning into ESPN to see it, because I believe you still had to have a ESPN Plus subscription on the ESPN app at that point. So I can't imagine it's not a lot of WWE fans that tuned in on this that were just casual viewers, but still, it was a good welcoming to everybody. Lots of hype, lots of pyro to kick things off. Our announced team started off with Michael Cole and Wade Barrett returning. Everyone kept saying Wade Barrett was fired and Wade Barrett was in trouble. Wade Barrett was just taking time off. So he's back. Great choice on commentary until we got Pat McAfee. And I was like, oh no, when Pat's music hit. So we got a 3-man booth for, I'm going to say 66% of the show. For the first 3 matches, we had a 3-man, and then he disappeared for the final 2. So I was great with that. I just have a hard time with 3-man booth in general because it doesn't leave a lot of room for people to. I feel like everyone's kind of stepping on each other, trying to get their commentary in. I think Michael Cole did as good a job as he could, trying to go back and forth between Wade and Pat and kind of get their different perspectives on things. But it always feels crowded. I prefer a 2-man booth. And I really do like Wade Barrett and Michael Cole as a team. So Pat McAfee was, of course, Pat McAfee, but they were in Indianapolis. So what did I expect? So he did come out for commentary. And then we had the opening match, which was a bit of a surprise kind of heading into the last couple of days before WrestlePalooza, because they had billed Lesnar versus Cena was going to be the main event. And then Pat McAfee, I believe, announced on his show on Friday that Lesnar versus Cena was going to open the show. So kind of an interesting change, especially since they had billed this as a main event the whole time, that they were going on first. I was curious if there was going to be something where maybe Cena or Lesnar were going to play later on into the evening into another match. They kind of teased on SmackDown with Lesnar going up to Paul Heyman and saying, hey, we should talk. And I was like, is he going to interfere in the tag match with CM Punk? Is there going to be something with him interfering to help the Vision win in their tag match? And that's why he's starting first. None of those things happened. I guess Lesnar just had a plane to catch. We'll call it that way. But came out. Entrances were cool. Cena came out and he had all the kids with him, which was a really nice touch and a lot of fun. Cena, of course, always doing things for the kids and really giving of himself. So that was neat. Then when Brock Lesnar came out, he did his entrance. They got in the ring. Ring announcers there to do the big announcement for John Cena, Never Seen 17, doing all that, greatest of all time. And then we got Paul Heyman surprisingly coming out, doing his My Name is Paul Heyman. And then he does the intro for Brock Lesnar. And that was kind of Paul Heyman's contribution there. So I guess they're kind of back together. They're kind of not. Maybe we'll see how this goes. So the match starts, and I wasn't super thrilled with this match because let's face it, it really was like an extended squash match, we'll say, between Lesnar and Cena, with Lesnar just really taking it to Cena and beating him down the whole time. It was very lopsided, very one-sided. There was like one moment where Cena rallied a little bit and hit some multiple shoulder tackles, and then he hit two AAs in a row, and Lesnar kicked out. And then after that, Lesnar just crushed him, hit five F5s on Cena, absolutely destroyed him, got the pinfall. It was really dominant. He kind of blew him out. And this whole thing just felt odd to me. It didn't make a ton of sense for Cena to go out there and squash, or for Lesnar to go out there and squash Cena. It didn't make a ton of sense for Lesnar to go out there and squash Cena. And I don't really understand how this, it doesn't help Lesnar. They're both older, so it's not like Cena's putting over the younger talent here. They're both older. They're both kind of towards in the twilight of their wrestling careers at this point. So it didn't make much sense, especially on the retirement tour, to have him take such a lopsided loss after barely hyping this matchup at all. It just kind of it happened. He came in, and teased that he was coming after Cena, and they were like, "Well, we're doing it at WrestlePalooza." And then Lesnar just crushed him. So that was that. Cena kind of walked out. He had a lot of welts all over his body too, so he did take a lot of damage in the bumps that he took during this matchup. It was interesting to see, and I'm curious now to see where they're going to go with Cena as they move forward. So this will be an interesting one. Uh, but yeah, so that's what we got. So we'll see where this progresses with John Cena. I don't know where it's going to end up going. I'm not sure how they'll segue or pivot out of this. I'm assuming that the rivalry with Lesnar is over with, but we'll see as he continues his retirement tour. So that was the first match of the night. Second match was the Usos versus the Vision. They did add a special guest referee to the mix, which was LA Knight of all people. I like that addition here. I like to see LA Knight featured on the ESPN launch, so this is good. He's got beef with everybody except Jimmy, so it makes sense. And he did kind of throughout the course of this match call it down the line, except he would let Jimmy get away with things. So I like the consistency there from LA Knight. You had the continuation, of course, between near collisions between him and Jay throughout this matchup as well. But this one was good. It was solid. Both teams are really great. Obviously, the Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are a lot of fun. It did kind of evolve into a no DQ match at some point. Knight was just kind of letting everything go. People were getting tables out. You had Jey Uso got busted open at one point pretty badly. You had Braun Breaker spearing both the Usos through a table. Like I said, it really just kind of devolved into like a no DQ for essentially LA Knight kind of let everything go. And it ended with Bronson Reed hitting the tsunami on Jay right after that double spear through the tables, and the Vision gets the win. So starting off the night, the heels were 2-0 to start off the night with Lesnar winning and now the Vision winning. And this, after this, led into what was my match of the night: Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer for the women's world title. This thing was really great, really exciting match. Io Sky is obviously one of the best of all time. In my opinion, I love Io Sky. She's great. Stephanie Vaquer is obviously excellent as well. She's been continuing to come up. It was super competitive, which was nice to see. It wasn't lopsided, wasn't one-sided in any way. Very competitive back and forth. Tons of high spots throughout. It was a long match, but it didn't feel long. It was really, really good. And then you had Stephanie Vaquer got the devil's kiss and the SVB. Io did kick out of that. You had Io hitting a Spanish fly. Then she had a bullet train attack without her knee pads on. Kind of the theme of this match was Stephanie kept targeting Io's knees. She kept doing dragon screws and hurting her knee. And then when she took her knee pads off, she ended up going for the over the moonsault and landing right on her knees. But she had her knee pads were gone, so she didn't have that additional protection. So that was one of the themes, was Io being somewhat hobbled throughout this match. And then you did end up having Stephanie finally at the end hit her version of the spiral tap and got the pinfall. So Stephanie Vaquer is the new women's world champion. Great stuff. I thought this was a great time to do it too, especially with the showcase for ESPN. You got a lot of eyeballs on this. Stephanie Vaquer is, this is the right time to do it. Great match, great showing for both. But definitely, I think the time to put the world title on Stephanie Vaquer. So very well deserved. congratulations to Stephanie. Match of the night. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. After this, we got the tag match between CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. This is one you knew it was coming for a long time. Had reservations about it heading into it, about how good it was going to be. This one was a lot of fun. Definitely wasn't the best wrestled match of the night, but it was just a lot of fun. You had shenanigans from the heels, Rollins and Becky Lynch doing the whole we're tagging him or we're not tagging in. So AJ's going to start. Oh, she's not going to start. And their strategy throughout the match was to kind of isolate CM Punk in the ring, since AJ Lee, hasn't been in like 10 years, which I would think just once you isolate AJ Lee in the ring, then she hasn't been there in 10 years. But they were trying to keep her out also because they're building to like the hot tag to, get the crowd anticipating the crowd wants to see AJ Lee back in. So this is the good psychology that they were working through to try to keep her out as long as possible. They played a lot of those games where she just couldn't quite get the tag. Referee's backs turn when she does finally get a tag and she gets forced out of the ring again. But this one towards the end, of course, devolved into a lot of different craziness. It was a lot of fun. You had AJ when she finally got her tag in. She did have a lot of good shining moments. She looked really good. Somewhat limited, obviously, in this matchup because it was a tag match and they kept her out most of it. But that was the right thing to do because she hasn't wrestled a match in 10 years. She had a really nice looking tornado DDT. She kind of pushed off of Rollins and hit Becky with it, so that looked great. You had a moment where AJ locked in the Black Widow and CM Punk locked in the sharpshooter on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch respectively at the same time, so that was cool. There was a lot of like double team moves that were happening as well. I believe Becky and Seth both hit double pedigrees at one point, so this was just a lot of fun. They had a sequence where everyone was hitting each other's finishers on each other. Like I said, may not have been the most technically well wrestled match, but it was just fun. It was a lot of fun spots that were happening. One thing I will say, it seemed like there was a lot of rule breaking being allowed by the ref throughout because there was a lot of during the mixed tag matches, the male and female competitors are not supposed to engage with each other. It's like as soon as they tag in, you leave. But there was a lot of she was allowing a lot of interference between the male competitors coming interfering with the female competitors and vice versa. So felt like they played fast and loose with the rules. But it was really good. It was really fun. Go back and watch it if you haven't had a chance to watch it. At the end, there was a sequence where everyone was outside of the ring. And the two teams were kind of competing with trying to do a double table spots between the announce table and the Spanish announce table. And then at one point, you had Becky threw AJ Lee from her table into Punk and Rollins, and all three of them went through the table. And then so that wound up with Seth and CM Punk incapacitated outside of the ring. AJ and Becky ended up back in the ring. So now there's no more help to come in. And AJ was able to lock in the Black Widow on Becky Lynch and get the tab. So she submitted the reigning women's intercontinental champion. So we'll see how that goes. But yep, AJ Lee, CM Punk victorious. Kind of figured they would be as well heading into this one. A lot of fun. Really, really entertaining match. And this was one where I would say I felt like in some ways kind of overshadowed the main event. Main event was all right, but we'll get into that in a second. Right before this, we did get a surprise Biker Taker return, basically to ride out the hangout with Stephanie McMahon at ringside. Um, you know, they wanted to have Undertaker here, obviously featured on this historic broadcast with ESPN. So we had a chance to see Biker Taker come out and do that. So that was a nice little fun Easter egg towards the end. And then we had the main event. Main event, Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. This one was interesting. So, what I mean by that is it felt like early on they were trying to show, and I presume this was all a work, that they were trying to show that Cody had some sort of a head injury from the attack he sustained on SmackDown the night before. So he kind of slipped early when he was going to go for the Cody cutter and fell down, and he kind of was stumbling around. Then you had Wade Barrett really talking on commentary about how Cody doesn't look like himself. Maybe he's sustained a head injury. He looks groggy. He looks drunk. Like and they really played this out where he did look like he was struggling throughout the match. And there was a time where I thought, are they doing this? Are they going to take the title off him? Does he need to take some more time off? Is he, maybe for the Street Fighter movie or whatever? I don't know if they wrapped production on that, but it kind of looked like they were heading towards making a reason why Cody would have lost. But it was a good match. They kind of, brawled outside of the ring, came back in. It was fine. It was pretty by the book, and I think coming off of the Stephanie Vaquer Io Sky match, and then of course the tag match with CM Punk, AJ Lee, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, it just wasn't as good. It wasn't as good, so I do think it was overshadowed by everything that came before it. There was an interesting moment which I didn't like, which where they were outside of the ring. Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes were fighting outside of the ring, and Drew was going to kind of line up Cody to hit the Claymore through the announce table desk again, and the ref ran in front of him and like waved him with him. It's like stop, 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 no, 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 and prevented him from doing it. And Wade Barrett accurately on commentary said, "Hey, what is the ref doing? This isn't illegal." Because before that, Drew McIntyre had hit Cody with an Alabama slam on the steps, which looked awesome, but that's not illegal. They're just brawling outside of the ring. He didn't grab a chair. He's just going to try to just hit him, and if he hits into the desk, that's fine. The fact that the ref now interfered and stopped it from happening and prevented him from doing it was ridiculous because there was nothing technically illegal about it. So the referee kind of cost him there. There was a moment before that where Drew was about to get a pinfall. He rolled up Cody because the referee jumped out of the way and slid out of the ring. And so he had Cody rolled up for the 3 count, and the ref, got into the ring really late. It was like 6-7 seconds afterwards, and Cody got the kick out. So Drew got screwed again by the ref there, and then got directly screwed by the ref stopping him from trying to hit the Claymore through the announce table. Which, why are the referees doing that? Why are you having that? And why are you now validating? Because I know this is supposed to be the continuation of Drew McIntyre always gets screwed, but I think the charm of that is Drew McIntyre makes a lot of excuses, and it's his fault, and it's not other people screwing him. But now they've gotten into territory where it really is other people screwing him. Like the ref did really cost him here. But this one ended up ending with when the ref was trying to stop Drew and he was trying to stop him from doing the Claymore through that. He delayed it enough to allow Cody to recover. So when he went for it, Cody jumped out of the way and then he Claymored himself into the announce table and hurt his knee, which played into the finish where they got back in the ring. Drew's trying to go hit the Claymore again. And then he pulls up and grabs his knee and he's hurt. And then you had Cody basically hit a super Cody cutter and then a crossroads and then picked up the win. So Cody retains. He's still the champ, but not without controversy because you did have ref interference. You had a ref cost him once with the slow count, and then you had the ref cost him a second time with interfering, allowing Cody to recover, and then Drew ended up injuring himself, allegedly as he hits the announce table going for the Claymore. So I don't know where they go with Drew at this point. I'm assuming he's going to come out and say, "Hey, Drew McIntyre got screwed again," but that's getting a little bit stale too. Maybe just let him be the champ. I was really hoping they were going to let Drew McIntyre pick up the win here. It's on a big stage. If Cody needs more time off for the things that are going on in his personal life, let him take that time off for it and let Drew have a run. But that was not the case. So that was WrestlePalooza, the inaugural ESPN event. I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. Very solid from start to finish. Wasn't wild about the opener match with Lesnar and John Cena. I thought it's cool to kick it off with something exciting because you want to start big. I just didn't like the fact that it was a big squash match for Lesnar. And again, I'm curious about what happens with Cena now as they move forward and they're kind of wrapping things up. Are we going to see maybe if Brock Lesnar is aligned now with Paul Heyman? Is he going to be on are they going to have a Survivor Series team where it's Lesnar, Heyman, and then Heyman's not going to be on the team. So Lesnar, Seth Rollins, the Vision, so those 4, and then you add one more member, and then you do something where you have Team Cena as the other on the other side of that, where he puts together his group. Maybe it's Jimmy and Jay and LA Knight. There's something that they can do there, and then you add one more person, maybe Roman on their side. I'm not sure who you add on. You would add on the Vision side, but I think they're possibly building towards that with the alignment now of Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, but we'll see. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on WrestlePalooza, on Brock Lesnar and John Cena, on any of the matches at all. Love to hear your comments at all. What did you all think of the event? I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Match of the night, of course, again, Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky. Congratulations again to Stephanie Vaquer. And that's what I got for you today, keeping it short and sweet. Happy Sunday, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments. We love to hear from you as always. And that's what I got for this week. So until next time, I've been Michael D'Angelo. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you soon.